Hey guys, how are you?
Hi,
Hello.
Ashutosh.
I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Hey
long
Vasu.
time.
Yep.
You
Long
know,
time.
it's been a year since we did this financial services event. What was the restaurant that we used to go to, Arnab? You remember that? After
Bombay
the
Canteen,
lower
I
grade?
think.
Kamla Mills.
Yeah,
Yes,
Bombay
yes.
Canteen in Kamla Mills.
Same place, yeah.
Nice place. We're missing that, isn't it? At least
Absolutely.
I'm missing it. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so we have to make do with the virtual version of our financial services event, and what I was thinking, there's a ton of changes that are happening in the industry right now. With as if the Indian financial services industry was any less dynamic, pandemic has kind of thrown a new dimension to it with employees and customers, everyone changing. It's just crazy. So what I am finding, and I look forward to hearing from you guys as to what you think is important. But what I am finding, and it's not just true for financial services industry alone, but pretty much every industry, there's a huge talk of being adaptive and being resilient nowadays, right? So they're talking about
Yep.
how they can respond to the changing conditions, and the traditional way of responding to in a slow manner are just not no longer sufficient. They have to figure out how to build an organization which is much more adaptive. And the thought that crossed my mind that when we talked about digital transformation we have been talking about for a few years now, we talked about these four different areas in which the digital transformation happens. So there's an experience area, there's an operations area, uh, then there's a ecosystem related work that you do while you're trying to digitally transform yourself, and finally you have to do innovation using digital, right? How do they change? And I look forward to hearing from you guys as to what does it mean for our financial services folks specifically for the experience, operations, innovation, and ecosystem. So go away. I mean,
Yeah,
go
no,
on.
I
Sorry,
think no, Ashutosh,
take
I
it
think
away.
the I think digital experience has probably been front and center for a lot of the enterprises, specifically in the financial services sector. So, a lot of the conversations that we're hearing from the market, that we're hearing from existing Forrester clients, there's been this. They're seeing a huge focus on being able to improve digital experiences for their customers, specifically because over the pandemic, what we are calling the forced digital adoption happened. So while the entire digital narrative was being pushed by organizations much before the pandemic started, nobody expected the kind of customer adoption that followed the pandemic to really happen. So, in a sense, a lot of enterprises are finding themselves quite unprepared for the scale of digital operations that have gone live with the customers. And also, it's not just the fact that customers have adopted digital channels, it's also a view into what they want to be able to do on those channels. That's entirely different now, too. So it's not enough to just being able to check your balance or get your card update on digital channels anymore. They want to be able to complete transactions, and that's a lot of work and planning, all of which rests as fantastic strategies for a lot of financial services customers, but it now needs to
Yeah.
get practical. It needs to become
Yep.
actions, and I think that's kind of what Amit and I want to pick up on. Amit is our resident CX expert,
CX
so
Guru. Yeah.
yeah, CX guru. So Amit and I are going to pick up on that. We're going to bring some data and insights, some very interesting changes in customer preferences, their buying behaviors, that we've seen through the financial services, our annual financial services survey that we run. So interesting insights and some recommendations on what we've seen work. In how do you start taking all of these fantastic ideas and putting them into practice? Um,
Right.
but also, what's really interesting is, I was talking to Amit earlier on, and also with Tom, who's also our CX guru from Singapore, and they brought up an interesting conundrum of sorts, where while financial services enterprises understand the importance of improving digital experience, CX, which was top of the mind for a lot of them pre-COVID or pre-pandemic, has taken a slight dip in the
Yeah.
priorities. It's not been so engaging and so top of the mind for a lot of the customer experience leaders. A lot of conversations around budgets and tech spend cuts and focus on CX. But that said, I don't think CX is such an easy metric to lose from a customer
Absolutely.
ecosystem, right? A
It's like
customer
that
facing
that's
ecosystem.
Maslow's hierarchy, right? So there's a lot of survival sort of activities companies are doing, but
Exactly.
before they come back to the self-actualization sort of work around CX. But I'm sure they'll come to that very soon, right? So
Yeah,
is
it's
that
not
what?
going to be a very long break. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have to like bounce back, and yeah, you might want to go temporarily into survival mode, but your survival mode also has to very closely bake in CX concepts. And I think Tom does some fantastic work there on hardwiring
Hmm.
CX
Yep.
financial performance, right? So CX is not just this nice to have value add thing that we do in the side anymore. It ties into your actual revenues. It ties into customer experience, has what we call a dollar impact. It delivers a dollar impact for most financial services organizations. And I think he's done work with some really, really big financial services players in Asia Pacific, has case studies on how they've been able to build that direct line between revenue and incremental performance, and the impact CX has on that. So that'll be an
yeah.
interesting section to
I think
conclude.
Abs-
it's going to become even more important to prove the value of what you're doing, prove the ROI of any of those CX or
Yeah.
innovation activities that you're doing, in these times even more so, right? So that'll be very timely. Great, thanks, Vasu.
No, absolutely. In fact, Tom also did some analysis for airlines industry, or one of the companies in the
That's
airline
true.
industry.
Yeah.
So that's it's a very interesting topic. And I think since you are speaking about experience and innovation and the ROI of all these initiatives, uh, I would like to bring forth the importance of ecosystem, platform businesses, partnerships, right? And I'm gonna give it a digital lending lens. So I'm in my session, I'm gonna set up the context, set up the stage by starting with the need and importance of digital lending in the Indian context. What do borrowers really want, whether it's a B2C environment or a B2B environment, specifically from an MSME perspective, and then the emergence of digital lenders, fintechs, some of these technology companies which are actually pursuing lending as the core activities. Once I've set the stage up, I'm going to talk about what kind of ecosystems are these companies, are these digital businesses creating, right? And how well are they able to serve the borrowers? Uh, and more importantly, the potential of disruption that they can create for traditional businesses, right? So that's going to be
Hmm.
my third layer, or a third section of my session, where I'm going to talk about traditional businesses which fail to transform or keep pace with the changing demands, changing needs of the industry, how they can get disrupted. And more so, I'm going
Right.
to also talk about what they need to do to be more prepared, right? So how they should partner within those ecosystem of, or layers of ecosystem that have been created. And more importantly, what kind of capabilities they need to equip themselves with to not just be part of those ecosystem, also partner with fintechs, with other digital businesses, with platform players like Amazons and Flipkarts. So that's going to be my session, my theme. And then
Sorry,
one of
just quickly, is there an India specific view on that? We have a comment actually from one of our audiences today that and they're saying, and I agree with it. They're saying that the time and the situation and the Indian market right now, there's just huge opportunities for financial services sectors to kind of work on and
absolutely.
improve their game. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the entire content is going to be in the Indian context. So the research is going to be Indian, more Indian examples, case studies. So definitely very relevant to the local geography here.
And even the
And
survey, the details that we have in the
absolutely,
FSI Financial Services Industry Survey, Vasu, that the way you're going to be using the India
Yeah.
specific data, I think Arnav will also share similar. I mean
absolutely.
the data from the insights from the similar survey.
Yeah, we conducted this survey earlier this year in two folds, and I think we have some really interesting insights on both businesses as well as retail customers on their lending behavior, banking behavior, insurance behavior. So we're going to bring a lot of those insights. Uh, so right after my session, I think the most interesting session to close it off would be around the digital operation or operational capabilities for a traditional enterprise, right? So our colleague Jost Hopperman, he's a very well known analyst for banking technology, specifically, banking platform technology. So he's going to talk about how to equip and sort of modernize your digital architecture to support all these experience, innovation, and ecosystem initiatives. So he's going to bring across all that insights in this session.
Yeah, Yost is good, isn't it? He's going to talk about, usually he covers how core banking is changing. He came up with this
Yeah,
banking platform 2.0 sort of research, which is very, very popular among how the core banking platforms need to be redesigned, re-architected in the light of the digital transformation that financial services firms are
absolutely.
undergoing. So very interesting. Great. So this looks very interesting.
So
I'm
this is
looking
going to be
forward to it.
over 6 days, Ashutosh?
No, this is over 5 days. This is 6 days away, you mean? Is that what you're asking? Sorry,
Yeah.
didn't hear.
No,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's starting off.
All of these sessions are planned over the next 6 days, right? In the first 5 days in
5 days.
October.
Yeah, I think, and keep me honest, I think it's starting on 5th, finishing on 9th. So for over 5 days. So yeah, and I'm forgetting one interesting thing. So it's not just banking and lending alone. We also have a very interesting panel which I'm moderating. I'm hoping it'll be interesting. Which is going to be, at least the panel members are very interesting. I'll say including me, but at least the other two are. They are from leading insurers in India. So we're going to be talking about how insurance industry is changing, and especially in the light of COVID and pandemic, and the way the customers are changing, the value streams are increasingly digitizing. What does it mean for
Yeah,
insurance
and
players? That's
automation
going
is
to be
big
the
business in
Awesome.
insurance right now. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll talk about that. So that's what we're going to finally close it on 5th day. But the first 4 days are going to be around operations, experience, innovation, and ecosystem.
Mhm.
Super.
Great.
So
Yeah.
5th to 9th October, everyone. Everyone that's live, we'd love to see you there. We'd love to hear more from you guys. I see some very interesting comments popping up. So it'll be make it interactive. Yeah, but we don't want to feel
We
like
will.
kids.
So what we are doing, most of these sessions are going to be, you'll have a speaking time, some of you, 30, 40 minutes, and then there's a lot of interaction time scheduled, because usually it so happens that most of these webinars tend to become sort of monologues. We
Yeah,
want to make them interactive.
Yep.
So
yeah.
like to see, hope the people who are watching this and those who will be attending this will also make it very, very interactive.
And
Okay.
if we are not able to answer some of the questions live, we'll definitely follow them up offline. We'll send you an email response or maybe get
Yeah.
on a call. So we'll definitely answer those.
So we have
Yeah,
some other interesting comments coming up. So someone just commented around the consolidation that's likely to
yes.
happen, and I sort of agree. First of all, there's a lot of change that's going to happen. The Geo is also going to enter in this space, right? And we are coming up with an interesting prediction, which we'll be sharing partially probably in this event, but we are working on it, and as we evolve
Yeah.
it, there's another event that's coming up in early November where we'll be having a session around that. But long story short, financial services industry is going to see a lot of interesting moves, including by the likes of Geos and some of the other platforms. And yes, consolidation may happen because you can't have so many players, but how that's going to play out will be very, very interesting. There's a lot of small providers at the moment, under which you cover them extensively in your research, right?
Absolutely. Definitely. We'll be answering a lot of these questions though. Yeah.
Great. So, and Oken, you're not talking about Oken this one, or are you going to be talking about Oken as well? Because that's changing the lending, or likely to change lending significantly in India.
We'll touch upon it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
That
Awesome.
always gets people thinking. Even when we do our live events, open banking
Yes.
is probably the one topic that gets the most amount of interaction. So yeah,
Yes, and plus I really admire the way the infrastructure in India is shaped up, and it's giving rise to so many of these firms, startups, which they can leverage, whether it's the Aadhaar earlier or UPI later, and then finally the open credit enablement network that's
Yep.
coming up, and the consent architecture that these guys keep talking
India's
about.
tried.
It's
Yes.
shaping up really well. So it's exciting days ahead, I guess.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's
All
so
right.
cool to see people engaging so much already. Ashutosh, I don't know if you're seeing this. We're getting so many questions. I'm sure a
So
lot of these are going to get answered. I think we have a question around um, if some financial services players are changing their lending exposure strategy, and I think that's what Arnav's going to talk about as a
So
part of his.
from a point of view of changing business models and how you can acquire new customers, and not just acquire but serve those customers on someone else's platform, someone else's ecosystem. So that's what we are gonna essentially cover, and then what role can Oaken play in the future. Just gonna touch upon it. It's too early to bring forth all that insight here, but yeah, absolutely. I think this is gonna be a really great show. And Ashutosh,
so
you started with Bombay Canteen, I think. So,
we'll,
Yeah,
we'll, we'll, we'll
so it's going to be a while before we go back to Bombay Canteen, but this one's still going to be pretty awesome. So
yes, yes, we'll certainly. It's hopefully once this thing is over and next time we are able to see each other face to face. Bombay Canteen is on me. I'll take you guys there. But this
awesome.
other interesting question that came up around financial services players changing their exposure to different sectors. Well, it's not just going to be true of sectors. I'm assuming even individuals are going to be treated in a different manner with a lot of information that's coming up around alternate data, etc. So yeah, do join Arnav's session around how lending is changing, and look forward to seeing you guys there. I think there are quite a few questions. Look forward to interacting with you guys. Thank you for saying hi as well. Really,
yeah, so
glad
so
to
awesome to see all of you guys. We'll make a note of these questions, and then you will absolutely have opportunities to ask us more questions as we go through each of these sessions. So
Yeah, in fact, I would recommend if you can post your questions to this, we'll try to make sure that we answer them in the event that we
Yeah,
conduct on that week of
that's a
5th.
good idea.
That'll be
Yeah.
great. Yeah, great, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Arnav. Thanks, Vasu.
thank you, Ashutosh.
All
See you
right.
guys. Talk soon.
Bye.